In 2013, Titan Fuel Tanks introduced an innovative new product for diesel pickup truck owners. Titan's Spare Tire Auxiliary Fuel System, STAFS for short, makes good use of wasted space under a pickup truck. Any pickup owner who has put custom or oversized wheels and tires on their truck knows that the stock spare tire should not be used due to potential problems it could cause with the drivetrain. The new oversized tires won't fit in the original equipment spare tire void, so the space becomes essentially unused. Titan's new STAFS product allows a truck owner to carry an extra 30 gallons of fuel in this void under the vehicle and transfer it to the vehicle's main tank with a touch of a button. Another great feature is that this system will work with any cab configuration, standard, regular, extended, or crew cabs. Most everything needed for installation in Ford, General Motors, or Ram diesel pickups is included in the STAFS kit. This video provides detailed step-by-step instructions on installation of the STAFS product. We're installing the system on a 2011 Dodge Ram today, but the installation is essentially the same on GM or Ford also. This great-looking Ram already has oversized custom wheels and tires, making it a perfect candidate for our STAFS tank. Here's an important note. Titan's Spare Tire Auxiliary Fuel System can only be installed on trucks with a Class 5 trailer hitch or heavier. If your vehicle does not have a Class 5 hitch, you'll need to install one before putting the STAFS product on your vehicle. Also, before starting this installation, be sure to carefully read all instructions. If you don't have a copy, please go to titanfueltanks.com and download one. The tank body is made of cross-linked polyethylene, XLHDPE, which is molecularly bonded, so it is extremely durable. Nominal wall thickness is 250 thousandths or a quarter inch. This shows the double-tapped bushing, which is attached to the draw straw, and it also shows the electric fuel level sensor. The STAFS comes complete with all mounting hardware, wiring, and the innovative Titan controller and fuel pump. The parts shown here are specifically designed for our 2011 Ram, but the principle is the same for all three American-made brands. The difference between the vehicles is the mounting hardware and spacers, which are used to fit the different bodies. A filler neck and attractive polished fuel door is also included. Pretty much everything needed for general installation. The product is designed to provide a sanitary, durable, and pleasing addition to your vehicle. Using the vehicle's spare tire winch handle, lower the spare tire and remove. From here on, while it's possible to install the system on the ground, it is much easier to complete the installation if a vehicle lift is available. Unbolt the rear bumper and remove it. This makes access to the work area much easier. As with most Ram trucks, it is best to remove the driver's side rear fender liner to allow access to the fill and vent lines of the vehicle's main tank. This step is not necessary on most other trucks. Remove the crank drive from the spare tire winch and unbolt the winch from its mounting bracket. Remove the winch, leaving the mounting bracket behind as shown. The STAFS bracket will bolt to this. Place the following parts in this order on the threaded rod. Thin hex nut, 3/4 inch flanged lock nut, truck mounting plate, and another 3/4 inch flanged lock nut. Here's a close-up of the parts before the nuts are tightened. Note, as shown here, there should be 2 threads showing over the top of the lock nut. Using a torque wrench, tighten the flanged lock nuts to 45 pound-feet. Tighten the thin hex nut, which is acting as a jam nut, also to 45 pound-feet. These fasteners are included for attaching the truck mounting plate to the winch mount. Install bolts up through the truck mounting plate into the winch mount. Tighten the bolts securely. Even though you just screwed the cap screws into the winch mount, place nuts on the screws also. Tighten them very tightly to lock the bolts into place. Here are some views of the properly mounted assembly. Install the 1/2 inch NPT by 3/8 inch hose barb elbow into the double tapped tank bushing. Install 3/8 inch hose onto the barb of the elbow and smaller 5/16 inch hose onto the rollover valve. Tighten the hose clamp securely. Strip the ends of the purple wire and the longest of the black wires. Locate the black wire with eyelets already attached to both ends. This is the level sensor external ground. Install the small eyelet of the external ground wire on the top of the fuel level sensor using the screw provided. Strip the ends of both of the fuel level sensor wires and attach butt connectors. Attach the provided piece of black wire to the purple wire of the fuel level sensor. Attach the provided piece of purple wire to the black wire of the fuel level sensor. After crimping the butt connectors, be sure to heat shrink them. Install plastic wire loom on fuel level sensor wiring, leaving the end of the black ground wire exposed as shown here. Using quick ties, bundle the hoses and wire loom together. Lift the tank into place in the spare tire space of the vehicle. The side of the tank with the hose barbs, where the fill hose and vent hose attach, are at the rear of the vehicle next to the vehicle hitch. Place the tank mounting plate under the tank and screw the 3/4 inch flanged lock nut under it. Leave the nut loose for now. Test fit the fill and vent hoses from the tank to the proposed site of the filler neck assembly and the fuel door. Determine if there are any sharp edges or minor obstructions in the path of the hoses. Mark any places that need to be bent out of the way or trimmed. Bend or trim any sheet metal obstacles or sharp edges. A variety of tools can be used for this. And this is to only include non-critical, non-structural components. This shows where non-critical sheet metal has been trimmed. Be sure to touch-up paint the affected area. Attach the vent hose to the tank and route it over the frame. Assemble the fill hose as per the instructions. Install the fill hose on the tank. Final trimming of the vent and fill hoses will take place after the fuel door is installed. Tighten the 3/4 inch flanged lock nut on the underside of the tank mounting plate to 15 pound-feet with a torque wrench. Install the thin hex nut under the flanged nut and torque it to 45 pound-feet. Installing the fuel door can be easy if planned properly. The fuel door can be installed in the outside of the fender or in the bed wall. If mounted on the outside of the fender, the auxiliary fuel door looks best if level with the vehicle's main fuel door. Use masking tape to locate it. Keep in mind that the door looks best if aligned with the vehicle's existing fuel door. However, the tank fills the best the higher the door is mounted. Cut the center out of the installation template. It will be used to drill the bolt pattern for the fuel door. Determine the center of the fuel door and mark it clearly. Carefully check to be sure there is plenty of room in the fender space for the whole filler neck assembly as well as the fuel door. Be sure there are no obstructions inside the fender space. After carefully checking for clearances and obstructions, use a 4 3/4 inch hole saw and cut a hole for the fuel door where you have marked. Carefully line up the installation template and tape it down securely. Using a 1/4 inch drill bit, drill out the 5 screw holes as marked. Remove the template and dress the edges of the hole. The fuel door should fit perfectly in the holes drilled. The filler neck assembly will fit inside the fender and bolt to the fuel door. Place the filler neck assembly in place inside the fender at the filler door. Start the nuts and then tighten from the outside. Here is the properly installed filler neck assembly. Complete installation of hoses from filler neck to tank. Trim the hoses as needed. There should be a continuous downward angle from the fuel door to the tank. Make sure there are no sags in the hose. Trim and install the vent hose. Make sure there are no sags in the vent hose also. Here's the properly completed fill and vent hose plumbing. This shows a close-up of attachment of fill and vent hoses to the tank. The Titan fuel door is a functional and attractive addition to any vehicle. An alternative fuel door installation is inside the bed, shown here in a Ford truck. Now let's attend to installing the fuel pump and wiring the system. First, attach a ring terminal to the black ground lead on the fuel pump. Then attach the provided blue wire to the other lead on the pump using the provided butt splice. Be sure to heat shrink the splice as shown. Next, attach the fuel filter to the pump using a short piece of hose and 2 spring hose clamps. The filter must be on the intake or suction side of the pump. The pump mounting bracket can be bent to fit the chosen location. Using sheet metal screws or cap screws in existing holes, mount the fuel pump at an area where exposure to spray and ice will be minimized. Be sure the pump is well grounded. Here you see the ground cables from the fuel level sensor being fastened to the frame. See the wiring diagram for details. Attach the 3/8-inch fuel line from the tank to the fuel filter. Then attach the 3/8-inch hose to the discharge side of the pump. This line will go to the vehicle's main fuel tank vent line. Wiring and the wire loom will run forward to the engine compartment. Meanwhile, the fuel line and the return line will run forward over the frame and then to the vent line on the vehicle's main fuel tank. This particular truck is one of the few that feature metal tubing from the fill door nearly to the tank. This means we'll have to cut enough out of the tubing to allow installation of the vent fill neck adapter. Usually these lines are hose. Here is the double T vent fill neck adapter with a short piece of hose ready for installation. Install the adapter with the short piece of hose. This shows the vent fill neck adapter installed. Note the small barbs are pointing away from the truck's fuel tank. Go ahead and install the fuel line and the return line on the adapter. The 3/8-inch, the larger of the two hoses, is attached closest to the vehicle's main fuel tank. Run the unattached wires forward under the truck. Be sure to keep them together and attach them in a workmanlike manner. Finally, run them into the engine compartment in front of the firewall. Now a decision must be made on where to mount the Titan controller. Pick a handy spot in the cab. Mark the spot you've picked out where you'll drill a hole. Carefully drill a hole in the dash for the Titan controller wiring. Run the wiring through the hole to below the dash. Mount the controller screen using the Velcro which is supplied. Thread the controller's wiring through the firewall behind the dash using existing holes or by placing the wires in the wiring harness boot. Using butt connectors, connect the purple wire coming from the electric fuel level sensor to the purple wire of the controller which is coming from the cab. Connect the blue wire coming from the fuel pump to the blue wire of the controller. Here again, heat shrink the butt connectors. Attach a ring terminal to the black grounding wire from the controller and securely ground it to the chassis. A wonderful feature of the Titan electronic controller is that it does not invade any of the vehicle's electronics. It only requires a power source. On the fuse panel, locate a terminal with a 10 to 15 amp fuse that is powered when the key is on. Remove the fuse and install the provided fuse tap. Here's a close-up of a fuse and tap. Be sure the tap is installed on the output leg of the fuse. Install a female spade connector on the red power input wire of the controller and plug onto the fuse tap. Reinstall the fuse. Tidy up the wires and fasten them, and close the hood. Reinstall the rear bumper. Then it's very important that you fill the tank completely and check for leaks and function. And then enjoy your 30 extra gallons of range at your fingertips. Titan's spare tire buddy is an ingenious design which allows a person to relocate the spare tire into the pickup bed. Also, the tire can be securely locked to prevent theft. In real time, it takes only about 2.5 minutes to completely install the spare tire buddy using one adjustable wrench. No drilling, cutting, or welding is required. There are a very few vehicles which will not allow use of the spare tire buddy due to their bed design. Check with your Titan dealer for the details.